Good evening.
Good evening, folks.
Welcome to SDS Thursday.
Good to see you all.
As always, I will ask you to start typing and let us know a little bit about yourself. I'll introduce myself. My name is Dr. Julia Budnik, and I'm one of the directors of SDS Seminars. SDS Thursdays are brought to you by SDS Seminars. We are a UK-based company specializing in training mental health practitioners on postgraduate level. So providing continuous professional development and skills training and theory training as well. So in the chat box, I will ask you to let us know where you're joining us from, where you are in the world, and how did you discover us? Especially if you're here for the first time, please do mention if you are here for the first time, it's your first SDS Thursday, do let us know how did you discover us, because we are trying to spread the word and we're never quite sure which ones are working, which ways are the best. So if you can let us know. I mean, I appreciate that to get to tonight's session, you received an email inviting you. But before that, when you registered to be invited, how did you discover us? The other thing we would ask you to let us know is your professional background, specialty. Tonight's topic will be adapting CBT to working with autistic clients. And of course, I will ask you whether you are, what modality you're working in, and whether you're working with autistic clients, or maybe clients with ADHD or other clients. I'm just trying to read what people are saying. And anything else which you think might be relevant to tonight's topic, why you decided to come. Have you been to any other SDS courses? Maybe you came to our courses, which were led by Professor Tony Atwood on autism. We've done quite a few of them. So anything which you think is relevant would be really much appreciated. In anticipation of possible questions about tonight's presentation is a little taster for you of a new course which Paul has developed for you and will be running at the end of March. Let me share my screen and I will tell you a little bit about it. So share, okay. So as always, this is SDS website. If you've never been on SDS website, this is how you find us. It's skillsdevelopment.co.uk. And on this website, you see the upcoming events. So either you find the course you're interested in these upcoming events. These are next 3 events we're running, but as you can see, the course on autism is not here. So then you can click on all courses and either search for the course you're interested in or click on calendar view, and you see there are courses in March, and one of them on the 27th and 28th of March, adapt your CBT practice to autistic clients. And Paul asked us to add the word fast. So it's not something which you have to work on for a very long time. There are certain things you can do fast and become more friendly as a therapist towards your autistic clients. So the course will run as a masterclass for 2 3-hour sessions on the 27th and 28th of March in the morning, so 9 to 12, We are trying to adopt this way of working because lots of people gave us feedback that doing 2 morning sessions is much easier than doing a whole day. So although it's a 6 hours CPD hours course, doing it in 2 sessions is easier. First of all, you're not as exhausted by the end of it. And secondly, in the afternoon, you can still do your work, do your either your coursework if you're a student, or see your clients, or do some other work, go to meetings and things like that. So it's much more sort of work-friendly format. So we're doing them for 2 mornings, 27th and 28th of March, and this is 6 hours. Don't see tonight as a replacement for that course. Obviously, here Paul will be talking for 30, 40, 45 minutes. It's not the same as going to the course. Lots of people will ask me whether the presentation slides from tonight will be available. As you know, we are listing our recordings for free on YouTube. I'll show you our YouTube channel. This is our YouTube channel, SDS Psychotherapy Training. I will ask you to subscribe to this channel, but you can do one better thing. You can become a member of this channel, and in that case, you can see the full recordings of these sessions, not shortened recordings, which we put out for free, full recordings with all the slides, and even print out a CPD certificate for 1 CPD hour for watching it. So if you become a member, you can receive certificates for watching this SDS Thursdays. So this is something for you to consider. You will see a button which says join the channel, and then you will be able to become a member. At the moment, you can see that we have quite a few full videos which are available for members with printing out the certificates. We even add some of our training videos. For example, the miracle question. It's a training video, 1 hour training video with a demonstration. You can watch it on YouTube and print out your certificate. So this is something I will very much encourage you to do if you are not able to attend SDS Thursday, or if you would like to receive a certificate for it. Okay, so this is just a brief introduction to what we're going to be doing tonight and what Paul is offering at the end of this month. So now I'm very happy to introduce the founder of SDS Seminars, Paul Grantham, who will be telling you much more on tonight's topic. Welcome, Paul.
Thanks very much, Julia, and welcome, folks. Good to see you all here again in what certainly around in Sussex at the moment still feels like it is a very delayed spring, if not the middle of winter. Woke up this morning to find that actually we had frost all around this morning, which was a bit of a shock, but there we go. That's life. Yeah, so welcome this evening. I sort of wanted to put this together really because I felt it was an issue that kept on coming up to some degree in training. Does CBT work with autistic clients? To some degree, it was coming up repeatedly in supervision as well. Either supervisees would say to me, I don't feel confident basically about using CBT with autistic clients, or other, and how do I do it? Can you do it? But I think the other thing as well was that I come across a number of people who are saying to me, I've tried CBT with autistic clients and it just doesn't work. It's just not made for that particular client group. And I think that to some degree as well, the other thing that is often an assumption around for a lot of people is partly about the adaptation issue and whether you can adapt or can't adapt CBT to working with autistic clients. But I think as well, unless people on the whole have a specialist training or background knowledge in autism, generally speaking, I think people find the whole concept of autism disabling. And I know it's a slightly strange phrase to use, because obviously very often we would look at this in terms of the way in which this might be treated as a disability for the client, and that's a whole separate issue. But I think as well, many therapists of all modalities, to be honest with you, see there as something different, something rather mysterious, something challenging in terms of how to deal with. And that's really why I wanted to put both the training course together and also to give you a sort of taster of that this evening. So let's just share my screen with you so we can get stuck into this. So hopefully you can see that. So let's just kick off with this. What I wanted to do, folks, before we start on the actual presentation itself, was that I actually wanted to do a poll with you. So I would actively encourage you all to vote in this particular poll. It's an anonymous poll, just to reassure those of you that are worried about what you're going to say. But I wanted to use it as a springboard, really, for the rest of what's going to happen this evening. So maybe you can just bring that poll up for us, Julia, so that people can start seeing the first question. How would you primarily describe your therapy practice? So if you'd like to just indicate that for us, please, folks.
Just the first question. Okay, 77% of people answered. Let's give it another minute if we can get a little higher.
Please
nice.
do get involved in this, folks, because it's of value to us all.
80%, that's good. 81, fantastic, thank you.
And if you want to end that.
Yes, I think 81 is quite a realistic figure.
We just
maybe
taken
people
it
are just listening on
60
their phone.
responses. That's great.
Yeah, fantastic. And Paul, and I think I'll be able to share the results. Okay.
So just to just give an obvious summary to this, around 28% of you would describe your practice as CBT based, 51% would describe it as integrative, and 10% would describe it as person-centered, with very sadly, I might hasten to add, only one person here this evening who's solution-focused, and 10% of you who are classifying yourself in another way. That's fine. That just gives us a broad idea. So if you'd like to stop the share on that, please, Julia, and we can maybe move on to the second question.
Yep.
How confident do you feel about conducting therapy with autistic clients? A range from 0. Do I put 0 in here? I can't remember.
I didn't put 0, Paul. I put 1, not confident at all.
Okay, from 1 up to 10.
I'll end Paul and share the results.
Yep. So you can see the results here, folks. A reasonable spread. I guess that, well, that's an interesting spread in some ways, I guess, because not surprisingly, there's a tendency to group around the middle, but it probably still only represents about 50% of you, with the remainder going towards the top end, but not the very top end, and a slightly smaller number of you going towards the bottom end. But it just gives us, again, a broad idea. That's great. If you can just stop the sharing on that, please, Julia.
Okay, and then number 3, yeah?
Yes, please. Do you think your modality or way of working is better suited than other modalities to working therapeutically with autistic clients? So yes, no, or unsure. Thanks. And if you'd like to end that, please, Julia, and share the results. Well, I think this is quite interesting, actually, which is that on the one hand, there was a slight weighting towards the top end of confidence, but on the other hand, you know, as you can see, just under 2/3 of you are unsure about whether your way of working is actually the best way of working with autistic clients. We'll stop the sharing on this. I wanted to start off with this, folks, basically because it was something which I wanted to contrast with
Thank you very much. Well, while Paul is catching his breath, I just wanted to mention that I did put the link to the course in the chat box. I'll do it just again. So book it now. It's end of March, 2 3-hour sessions. And if you can't make it, you can watch it as a recording, or you can attend just one session, the one you can make, and then watch the other one as a recording. So that's all good, and 20% discount is still available until the 8th of March. I also put the link to our YouTube channel where this presentation, today's presentation, will be posted, and you can get a certificate for it if you sign up for it. Paul, there are a couple of interesting comments in the chat box, and I would like to start with the question Penelope asks, which I think is well, you'll assess it yourself. I think it's a very relevant question. Penelope says, I feel an affinity with those autistic clients and supervisees that I work with. However, therapists also vary. Can you suggest ways in which a therapist might discern whether they are unsuitable for some autistic clients? Or is it a part of the general assessment of therapist-client match? So basically, can it be a situation when a therapist is not suitable to work with an autistic client? What would you say to that? I know it's not an easy question. Sorry about it.
There's some really interesting assumptions in the question, and to some degree it touches on a bugbear of mine. I think that all therapists have certain types of problems, certain types of client that they find easier to work with and more difficult to work with, is the first thing I want to say. Secondly, which is a sort of side issue to this, I think everybody to varying degrees has a limit on what they are willing to work with as well. But having made those two statements, I do think that therapists have an obligation to develop a flexibility of therapeutic response in order to meet their clients. I hear what Penelope is saying, and I notice how I would reframe that would be, I would say I think that there are certain therapists who find it easier and more difficult to work with autistic clients. But if you were to replace autistic clients with practically any other, you know, unique characteristic of any particular group, we would not find that to be a particularly acceptable statement. The assumption would be, I think quite rightly, that number one, we should be aware of what those particular soft spots and strengths are that we have. We all have them, undoubtedly. Some are based on personality characteristics, some are based on the type of therapeutic problem. You know, there's a whole range of things that we feel either more or less comfortable with. But I personally think that as therapists, we have an obligation to basically be as flexible as possible. And that if we find that a particular problem, the first place we should be looking at changing is ourselves. Not say, I mean, I don't like the idea of going down a route which says I should pass this person on to somebody else. I mean, I can understand it, but I think the problem is that once you open the door to that on something like autism, I think you open the door to it on a whole range of other things.
Mm,
Yeah.
Yeah, if to be blunt, you can't say, I don't like working with men, I don't like working with women, I
Exactly.
don't like
Exactly.
working with people who have anxiety, and so on. So
Yeah.
yes, you can go very, very far down that route.
Mm.
Thank you. Karen is asking, would it help if the therapist was neurodivergent too? Is there anything in the literature about it?
I certainly know that there's a debate in the literature from neurodivergent therapists about the pros and the cons of self-disclosure to neurodivergent clients. But to be honest with you, you pay as your money, you takes your choice on that. I don't think it's actually that different from the debate for anybody about the use of self-disclosure and how you do it. So I'm not aware of anything that specifically highlights that neurodivergent therapists are better. I think I can see pros and cons with it, really. For me, again, can I just say, I think the most important thing for any therapist to be able to do is to be sufficiently flexible and individualized in their therapy to be able to accommodate the broadest range of clients possible, whilst at the same time recognizing we all prefer to specialize in some areas rather than others. But I don't know of anything that says it's automatically better.
Well, I suppose part of the reason why you wanted to present this course is to help therapists to feel more equipped for
Yep.
working with these clients. Tracy just makes a short comment that it might be the client who want to pass, not the therapist, and I think that would be the client's right
Yeah, well,
to do
see, this is another very interesting area. I mean, it's a particular issue, can I say, in statutory services where clients are given very little choice about typically who they can see. And I think that when you are a private client, I think it's a consumerist model. I don't like who it is I'm seeing. I choose to go and see someone else. But I think, yes, the client might decide to do that. My slight thing I would raise about it in connection, particularly with statutory services where clients don't have much choice, is the tendency again to somehow attribute that decision very often from the services perspective as a shortcoming in the client rather than a lack of adaptability or flexibility in the actual practitioner. That's probably my bigger concern.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there are some other interesting comments, but we are very close to 8 o'clock, so I will have to bring it to the end. But do feel free to sign up for the course, and Paul obviously will be answering many more questions there and probably expanding on many topics which he only just managed to mention in passing tonight. So I would be very grateful for a few words in the chat box about tonight's session, so I could use them recommending this session to others. And we will see you again in April. I think we are not gathering together until April now, because Paul is actually going to, you will tell us where you're going? It's an unusual country.
I'm doing some training in Kazakhstan.
In Kazakhstan, that's where he's going
Specifically
at
on
the
clinical
end.
supervision, in fact.
Yes, on clinical supervision. So let's wish him well and safe trip. And you can unmute yourself now and say your goodbyes and have a good evening, and we'll see you again soon. Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for coming, folks.
Bye.
Coming. Take care. Look after yourselves. Thanks for
Bye bye.
And you. Bye.
Bye
Bye-bye.
now.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care
Thank
and
you.
look after yourselves. Thanks.
Thank you.
And thank you for your comments. Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Bye now.